So now let us look into the most underrated topic of networking, that is computer ports. So computer ports and computer port numbers. So port numbers. So what is a port number? A port number is a 16 bit, that's 16 bit numerical value that ranges from 0 to 65535, basically 65,535. So well known ports uh, basically lie from 0 to 1023, and registered ports from 1024 to 49,151, and dynamic ports is uh, uh, is three types of port number space. One is 49,152 to 65,535. So now ports these ports can be opened and used by software applications and operating system services to send and receive data over networks. So here networks can be LAN or WAN WAN. So that employs certain protocols, example TCP and UDP. So for example, we use 8080 for 8080 for HTTP web-based plain text surfing, and 443 for HTTPS web-based encrypted websites in our daily work. So 80 for HTTP web-based plain text type of application, and 443 which is secured HTTP connection. So HTTPS is 443, that port, and then 80 for unsecured application to be run. So to conclude, a port is a logical form to identify system activities or various network services used to create local or network based communications. So now the next question arises, what are the functions of uh, ports? So when interacting over the internet, TCP and UDP protocols make connections, recompile data package after the transfer, and then deliver them to applications on the recipient's device. For this handover to work, the operating system must install and open gateways for the transfer. So each door has a unique code number. After transmission, the receiving system uses the port number to determine where the data should be sent. So the port numbers of the sender and receiver are always included in the data packet. So ports are assigned sequential numbers from 0 to 65,536. So some of these codes are standardized, meaning they are assigned to certain users, since code numbers are universally recognized and permanently assigned. So these standard ports are also known as well-known ports. And registered ports are those that organizations or software developers have registered for their applications. So registration is handled by the Internet Assigned Numbers Authority. We have discussed about the same in our earlier slides. So IANA, that's Internet Assigned Authority. So Internet Assigned Numbers Authority. A diverse selection of dynamically assigned port numbers is also available. So, for example, when viewing websites, browsers use the ports. After that, the phone number is free again. So, but the thing is, why is it important to know about these ports? Uh, any security researcher, bug bounty hunter, or anyone working with the service configuration would benefit from this. So, knowing how to do more through scans such as a version detection or known vulnerabilities for ancient services that are still operating in the infrastructure, especially when using tools like Nmap, is handy when getting to know these protocols and services. So now let's look into the topmost or 50 most 50 significant ports in this forthcoming slides. So the following are some of the most common service names, transport protocol names, and port numbers used to differentiate between specific services that employ TCP, UDP, DCCP, and SCTP. So let's look into various services which runs at default port number and then their protocols and description. So we will begin with 7, that is Echo. Service name is Echo, and the transport protocol it uses is TCP or UDP, whichever is possible, and the description is known as Echo service. Then after that we have port number 20. So port number 20, FTP data, the file transfer data, file transfer protocol data is the one which service is the one which runs at the port number 20, and transport protocol TCP and SCTP. And the description about this file transfer protocol data transfer. Then we have FTP service. Again, FTP service is nothing but file transfer protocol control connection, and this service runs at port number 21, and with a transport protocol TCP, UDP, and SCTP. So let's look into few more services and significant ports. So at so next we have SSH SCP. So basically SSH SCP is secure shell, secure login file transfers and port forwarding. So this service basically runs at port number 22 with transport protocol such as TCP, UDP, SCTP. Then we have 23 20. Then we have telnet protocol. It's an unencrypted test communication, and this service runs at port number 23, and this service runs at port number 23 with transport protocol called as a TCP. So then we have SMTP. So it is simple mail transfer protocol used for email routing between mail servers, and this simple mail transfer protocol runs at port number 25, and it uses transport protocol such as TCP. So then after that we have DNS, which is domain name system name resolver, domain name system name resolver, and this service DNS service runs at port number 53, and it uses transport protocol such as TCP and UDP. So then after that we have TFTP, that is trivial file transfer protocol, and This runs at port number 69 with the transport protocol UDP. So, and then what we have is HTTP. So HTTP service is nothing but hypertext transfer protocol and uses TCP in version 1.x and 2. So HTTP 3 uses a QUIC, a transport protocol on top of the UDP. So and this HTTP service runs at port number 80 and uses transport protocols such as TCP, UDP, and SCTP. Then we have Kerberos, a network authentication system, and this runs at port number 88 with transport protocols such as TCP, UDP. Then we have ISO TSAP and ISO Transport Service Access Point, ISO TSAP, that's ISO Transport Service Access Point Class 0 protocol is which runs at port number 102 with a transport protocol as TCP. Then we have POP3. So this is Post Office Protocol version 3 and which runs at port number 101. So 1110 and transport protocol for this POP3 is TCP. Then after that we have Microsoft EP Map. So Microsoft EP Map endpoint mapper, also known as DCE or RPC locator service, used to remotely manage service including DHCP server, DNS server, WINS, also used by DCOM, and this service runs at port number 135 with the transport protocol TCP and UDP. Then after that we have NetBIOS NS. So NetBIOS name service used for name registration and name registration and resolution. So uses 137 port number and transport protocol TCP and UDP. Then we have NetBIOS SSN. So NetBIOS session service runs at port number 139 and uses TCP and UDP as transport protocols. Then we have IMAP 4. So IMAP 4 is nothing but Internet Message Access Protocol. Internet Message Access Protocol, management of electronic mail messages on a server, and this runs at port number 143 with the TCP and UDP transport protocol. Then we have HP OpenView. So HP OpenView is nothing but HP Data Alarm Manager. So it can run at 381 and 383 also at two ports, and it uses TCP and UDP as transport protocol. So then we have HTTP or SSL, so hypertext transfer protocol, which is secure one, a secure one, HTTPS. So that's what we call it as a HTTP over SL. That means a secure one. So uses TCP in versions and the same similar to HTTP. So it uses 443. The secure HTTP secure uses 443. Normal HTTP uses 480. So and it uses as usual transport protocols such as TCP, UDP, SCTP. So then we have Kerberos, and this Kerberos is used to change or set the password, and the port number for this is 464, and then TCP and UDP are the transport protocol. Then we have SMTP over TLS or SSL, SSM. So it's like authenticated SMTP over TLS or SSL certification. So this is called SMTPS. So it's a secure one then compared to the normal SMTP, which is not that much secured. So in normal SMTP is 225 and this one is 465 with the TCP transport protocol. Then again we have one more SMTP, but this time it's an email message submission. This is at 587. Then we have Microsoft DCOM. So HTTP RPC EP map remote procedure call over hypertext transfer protocol, often used by distributed component object model services and Microsoft Exchange Server, and it uses a port number of 593 and transport protocol of TCP UDP. And then LDAP over TLS or SSL. So it's a lightweight directory access protocol over TLS or SSL, and it runs at a port number 636 and transport protocol of TCP or UDP. So then we have MS Exchange. So MS Exchange routing, and it runs at 691 with a transport protocol TCP. Then we have VMware server. It's VMware ESXi, and then there is no transport protocol because it is unofficial, but it can be run at 902. Then FTP over SSL, we have seen FTP unsecure one, but you can have a secure one over SSL. That's FTPS. We call it as FTPS protocol data, and FTP over TLS or SSL, which runs at 989, and similar to the FTP or SSL. And same FTP or SSL can also run at 990. So both follows transport protocol of TCP and UDP. So then we have IMAP or SSL. We have seen IMAP 4, and similarly IMAP 4 or SSL. The description remains same, but it's a secure one. So it takes TLS or SSL with it. So that's the reason it's secure, and then it runs at port number 993 with TCP. Then we have POP3 or SSL. Same again, this is also secure POP3, and it runs at 995. So, and after that we have Microsoft RPC. So Microsoft operating systems tend to allocate one or more unsuspected publicly exposed services, probably DCOM, but who knows, among the first handful of ports immediately above the end of the service port range 102 plus. So this runs at 1025, and then we have OpenVPN virtual private network. So this runs at 1194. So then WAST is one more service, which is WAST encrypted file sharing program, which is unofficial, and it runs at port number 1337. Then Cisco VQP, it's Cisco VLAN query protocol VQP, so it runs at 1589. Then Steam, that's Valve Steam client, uses port 1725, and cPanel, the cPanel default uses 2082. Then RADSEC cPanel uses 2083. Oracle DB. So Oracle DB is nothing but Oracle database listening for insecure client connections to the listener, replaces port 1529, and it uses 2483. And then Semantic AV uses 2967, and Xbox Live and games for Windows Live, and it uses support number 3074 with TCP or UDP as a transport protocol. Then we have MySQL. So it's MySQL is nothing but a database system, and the port number that where MySQL runs is 3306 with the TCP transport protocol. Then we have World of Warcraft. This runs at 3724. Then Google Desktop, it's unofficial, but it can be run at 4064. It has its own own it has a port allocated for even Google Desktop. Then we have Postgres SQL. So for Postgres SQL database system, so you should have a port number of 5432 with transport protocol TCP. So then more, so RFB VNC server, this is virtual network computing remote frame buffer RFB protocol, and 5900 is the port number. And for IRC, it's Internet Relay Chat 6665 is the port number. And for BitTorrent, so BitTorrent is a part of the full range of ports used most often. So 6881 is port number for the BitTorrent. And QuickTime is unofficial, and the port number is 6970. And for Kaspersky AV, it's an antivirus. Kaspersky Antivirus Control Center. For this, we have allocated to 8086 if it is through TCP, 8087 if the transport protocol is UDP. Then after that we have VMware server, that is 8222. Then we have PDL. So PDL data stream used for printing to certain network printers. So the port number that it takes is 9100. Then we have backup exec, so that's 10,000. And NetBus, so NetBus is unofficial. So NetBus a remote administration tool, often Trojan horse, so 12,345. Then sub 7 is sub 7 default, it's unofficial, and 27,374. And back orifice unofficial, so back orifice 2000 remote administration tools. And PostgreSQL, as we have discussed earlier, 5432 with PostgreSQL database system, and then follows TCP transport protocol. So with this, we are concluding third module of iDevOps for you. So we have closed the networking layers also. So we have come to an end of networking topic. I hope you enjoyed. So we have covered most of the important topics that are related to networking in depth, and with practical demonstration. I hope you enjoyed it, and then keep liking my content, and keep watching my content, and keep subscribing and spread it to your friends. And I will meet you in another module of this course.